All right, we're at the Seafield plot, the crimp job that we talked about heavily in the last Family Dream Farm, and I'm actually impressed. I was worried that it was going to be a big, major fail. I have a cell camera over here that got knocked over by raccoons last week, so I haven't been able to keep an eye on it. The part that the camera is showing doesn't really show much new growth, but as I walk around here, you can see obviously some places I've seeded it a little bit thick, but we are growing, and we are growing well. You want to really know what gets deer hunters excited? This little guy right here. All right, guys.
Welcome to the Deer Shop Podcast, presented by Siman Brothers Outdoors and the Leaky John Boat Company.
Yeah. He went and watched a movie that has a $200 million production budget, and then the next thing he watched was our video on YouTube that has a $0 production budget.
This is the first buck I've shot in over 10 years.
Your track job was the first fun track job.
That kind of like, I think part of my life was influenced by that night.
Then you miss him 3 times with a rifle at 70 yards on video. Got the whole world to see.
That's what Caleb did. 5 years ago, we couldn't shoot a deer at 100 yards with a slug gun. Now you're shooting turkeys at 100 yards with a shotgun.
Joey takes
The shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers. You can't leave anything.
All right, guys. Deer Shop Podcast, episode 107, and we are back.
We are finally back.
We are back in the studio. We kind of, I got to apologize, I guess. We ghosted you guys last week. Completely ghosted. No special message, no Facebook post, no Instagram post, no nothing. No one reached out except for a very few couple people to see if we were dead, and we weren't dead.
We could have been dead.
Could have been dead. No, we talked about it a couple weeks, or well, I don't know. We talked about it a couple episodes ago, a couple months ago, maybe, that we're just going to be super busy this summer now with the families and the way life is, and we were on this big vacation. These podcasts we've been missing recently have always been around like a weekend trip where we're leaving early on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, and like the podcast has to come out Monday. We tell ourselves, well, we'll just get down there and record a podcast and get it edited, and then
up.
That rarely happens unless we're on a hunting specific trip.
Ice hauled a giant suitcase full of podcast, camera, laptop, all this shit down there, and we didn't use it.
No, I mean we just got back from the OBX. In case you haven't seen the Instagram post, because that's really the only place I guess we've talked about it. Instagram and Facebook. We just got back from the OBX. This episode is going to be no sharks, EHD scare, thermal crossbows, and then we're going to talk about famous CJ Alexander just a little bit. At the end.
I hate talking about him.
I know. That's why I got you on. Yeah, we're good. Don't you worry. But you got Caleb, Isaac, and Luke in studio. If you're not on YouTube and you're listening, that's who's here. With the Leaky John Boat himself is present. Yeah, like we said, we went to the Outer Banks last week. We left on Friday night, late, early Saturday morning-ish. There was a big different time frame of people leaving. There was 18 adults, 7 children sharing a house together. For Hurricane Erin.
Erin, yes.
Front row seat, Hurricane Erin. We were beachfront. It hit It started to hit Tuesday?
Yeah.
And then
early Wednesday night, and then into Thursday.
And then Thursday and Friday were kind of a wash. We were down there, obviously doing our big family beach hanging out shark fishing trip that we have done in the past. There's been years where we've caught lots of sharks. There's been years where we caught no sharks. This was a year where we didn't even really get to fish for sharks. We had one day of fishing. We kayaked some baits out. We did what we could.
The surf was wild. The storm surge was the problem.
Even the day that we were able to get a bait yacked out, we weren't able to keep the casters out. They were being brought into shore. It was just, with the hurricane on the horizon, it was Sunday or Monday that we did the fishing. I can't remember what day it was.
Sunday.
We tried our best. We filmed for about a total of 4 minutes on a week-long trip. It was just, with the families there and all the kids, and it was different than our last one where we were oriented with the fishing and didn't have to worry about any of the children. This was a family-style trip more so, and, there was a whole new set of challenges, and the fishing didn't happen very much. The filming didn't happen very much. I got enough footage I'll show a little bit of it in the Deer Camp Chronicles prologue episode, but there wasn't much to report on the fishing front this week. It was rough.
We did what we could do.
The first half of the trip was actually a lot of fun, though. We got some beach days in and all that. But once that hurricane hit, we were in the house stir crazy, just going to restaurants, doing the tourist thing. And it wasn't what we wanted it to be as far as an outdoorsman's trip.
And the hurricane was kind of overplayed, I think.
Yeah, I mean
there
there
was
was
a little bit of storm surge. The location we were at in the Outer Banks wasn't really affected because it was the main island. I know the southern islands kind of got hammered and the highway got flooded and stuff like that, but that's kind of normal for them on a yearly basis.
Yeah, it happens.
So I don't really think there was any like life-threatening issues with this hurricane.
No, they had a good evacuation early, so everyone got out. And then, like we said, we had a good dune in front of our house, so we never got any of the storm surge over the edge of it, and it was just fine for us. But like we said, the fishing didn't happen. So anyone that was looking forward to another one of our fishing videos, we usually do one of these once a year, the beach stuff, and it's not going to happen.
Nope.
Just not going to happen.
Speaking of grinding my gears.
Yeah, we'll get to those topics here. Luke is here in studio with us, the leaky John boat himself. And we mentioned it last week, maybe the week before, but you're selling your boat.
Yeah, selling the boat. Took on a big project, big 19-foot cabin cruiser, and the plan was to restore it and like make videos of restoring it back to its former glory, and I could never get the motor running, so I'm kind of giving up on it. Life's happened, and selling that big boat, and probably gonna go back to some sort of John boat and start making John boat videos again. Because
back to your roots, huh?
Yeah, back to the roots. Definitely, John boat videos are where it's at.
The 1980s
way more fun.
Inboard V6 bullshit was.
So if anyone wants to buy this boat that we're talking all this shit about, contact Luke.
Yeah, I'll sell it to scrap price. So.
All right, guys.
I got before we go, I got some more updates.
Okay. Oh yeah, keep going.
We got some deer shop stuff. I got my buck back.
Yeah,
from last year.
You got your buck back
behind the camera.
Yeah,
behind the camera, can't see it. Maybe I'll do a quick video for the intro. There were some challenges there. Joey had a mountain. You went to Triple J. Is that what it is? Triple J Taxidermy. Joey Pavlovich, Wild Time TV. You guys know who that is and seen it all. He had some challenges to overcome that Luke can go on with this thing.
Apparently, the late season deer can be the toughest because of the freeze thaw.
Yeah, and plus the antlers were off when we found the buck, so that's another challenge.
So that was
an
exciting.
added challenge.
When I picked it up the other day, it was the first time I got to hold him.
Yeah,
because he
actually hold his
I got to hold him up, and it was really exciting. But yeah, like this buck was tore up. He had a huge abscess in his neck, and you can kind of see it in the mount. Joey did a really good job of covering it up, but it was nasty.
He did what he had to do to try and salvage it. And like we've talked about, we have never strove for perfection here at Siman Brothers Outdoors because it's just impossible.
Not how we roll.
Never going to happen. More of your average everyday try not to fuck it up kind of people. Mm-hmm. And one day this will be on the wall with 30 other bucks that Luke's killed in his shop, and we won't have to worry about it. It won't be 2 feet in front of our face here in our dinky little current setup. But next to a Josh Grossenbacher mount, there's a difference.
He looks a little rough.
Yeah. Poor guy, we lost half his hair.
But the buck he
sit
next to the mount is beautiful. So
yeah.
That could be part of it.
Yeah, Freeman's mount is still here in the shop. We still got a collection of people's deer hanging out in here in the shop. I realized why it's so dark back here? Your lights aren't on in the back.
Oh, yeah, they're unplugged.
Oh, maybe I'll turn those on. Anyways, continue, Luke.
I've got my food plot trimmed up over the week. I sprayed it with cleth. It was a clover food plot that was planted last year, and then spring, what's that called? Frost seeded it a little bit. It was kind of thick with grass and sedge and some broadleaves, but I sprayed it with cleth. Didn't kill any of the sedge. Killed most of the grass, and the broadleaves are still there. Trimmed it up, and today I'm going back to check it out. But
yeah, don't you have to get something special to kill that sedge?
Yeah, I think you got to spray it with sedge hammer or something like that. I'm not sure.
I always thought it was sledgehammer, but now it makes sense that it's.
But I don't know if I can spray it over top the clover too.
Yeah, that's what. That's
spot
the part.
Spray it. It's gonna be a challenge. But at the end of the day, it's a food plot that we don't even hunt, and
deer do eat weeds. Yeah, your plan is to not really hunt it this year, right? It's hard to hunt that bowl.
It's super hard to hunt. It's in a bowl, and their wind is never in your favor.
Yeah, it's like a rut only kind of spot. I actually sat it once last year, maybe twice. I might have sat it twice last year. Your spot at the end, and I could hear bucks grunting and chasing, but none of them, besides a couple dinkopotamuses, ever even showed themselves.
Every time I hunted it, it was just dinks.
Yeah, they're using to the west of that differently. The thermals are pulling down that way, and we need to find a way to hunt that better. That's kind of the game we're going to play this year. But back to the sedge, we have some problems with that going on in Southern Ohio right now on the food plot at Gores, and there's some showing up here on ours as well. and on the farm. And we gotta find a way to maybe kill that without killing the clover, because like you said, the cleth did great on grasses and did nothing against.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll have to figure that out.
I think we're gonna have to kill everything in the plot and like really hammer.
No, because then you'll till it and
sedge.
it'll all come back up.
And then you can't till it, and then you gotta.
Yeah, same thing I'm having in my sunflower plots. It's ragweed, and there's no way to kill that without killing the stuff I have planted in there.
I mean, in true Siman Brothers Outdoors fashion, we have all the bad weeds. What was the weed that someone commented on the Family Dream Farm video? The one that I killed, the crimp job I did on the Seafield plot was.
Oh, and they said it was a good
foxtail or something. Mare's tail. It wasn't mare's tail. It was foxtail or something like that. Tall weed with like a big stem and a furry top with like some broadleaves. And it was like 5 feet high. That stuff is every inch of this place, and you can never get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
But that one guy commented that it was a good browse.
Yeah, but the deer aren't eating it.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I'm going to check those food plots today. Actually, I'm going to go give them a look and see what my crimp broadcast food plot job did. I don't know.
The one good thing about clover and chicory is you can mow it, and it does take care of some of them.
And I might have to do some mowing today for sure. So, on that note, we can get into the big deer hunting part of the podcast, because it is time. It is here. It is hammered down fully. They got our hay seeding in here on the home farm, and they spent they probably spent 24 hours straight working on that, just about.
Yeah.
And they did, they got it all in. It looks great. They fertilized and et cetera, yada, yada. But for whatever reason, and I don't think that it's the same as, I don't think this is the reason, but for whatever reason, since they did that, it dried up hard here on the home farm. Mm-hmm. And the weird part is, and on some of the other farms. So your farm,
yeah,
Ethan's farm, like the moment, and then that day was August 12th was the day that stuff was happening. Since August 12th, we have went from super excited talking about it in every podcast, bucks on bucks, making our plans, to just scorched earth. There has been like one or two shooters at some farms here and there, but it's extremely weird how it changed like instantly.
It's like the changing of the seasons right now.
Yeah, but they all did it at all the farms at the same time. It's just strange. And there, I have my list of.
Is it EHD?
Caleb's scared all the bucks are dead.
So we're going to get into this here in a little bit.
Well, you'll know as soon as you drive past them water holes if you smell death.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do some checking on some stuff today, but in the southern portion of the state of Ohio, northern West Virginia, southern Ohio, even some of Kentucky and Indiana, EHD right now, according to what we've been reading on the internet, because we haven't been down there. We actually just drove through there, but we haven't been down there in the woods. They say it is absolutely wrecking portions of some counties down there. People talking, I've seen posts on there, they found 50 plus deer dead on farms. Some people said they haven't had a deer on trail camera in a month. Everything stinks. Every back road smells like death.
Well, I didn't tell you. I talked to a guy at a gas station in Parkersburg,
okay,
so right outside Southern Ohio, in West Virginia.
Yep.
Because he saw the sticker on the back of my truck when we were driving home. And he asked if we had it up in northern Ohio. And I said, no, not yet. And he said they're getting hit in West Virginia. It's just not on the news because nobody cares about West Virginia.
Yeah, like I actually texted Kevin. He sent me a picture of some scraggly buck a couple weeks ago, like a week before we left. He sent me some cell cam pictures from down there at the Gore camp. And he said he's had some really deathly, sickly looking deer on camera. We don't currently have any trail cams down at the Gores.
But a lot of those that's just summer coat stuff for small
deer. I'm just very curious if we're going to go down there, what it's going to be like. Obviously, there's nothing we can do to stop it. That's the worst part. It's not like we can go down there and help try and fix the problem. Gore's cabin is a spot where there's not a lot of good water, so like that worries me a little bit.
But there's a stream that runs, and
at the bottom.
I don't really think that's usually an issue, right?
No, it's those drainage, like by the park, that drainage type creek, and like just water collecting in pools.
Stagnant.
We're going to have a good time to announce it. We're going to have a gigantic EHD podcast next week. So if you're listening this week, Monday's 107. Next Monday's 108. We're having Zach Haas come on. He was on here last year talking about EHD when it broke out. He's working with companies to make some products to help fix that. And we're going to have a huge, big EHD podcast bash next week.
So it's a little weird. Last year, EHD hit our area, not here exactly,
closer,
but it kind of stayed small.
Yeah,
this year it seems like statewide outbreak is happening right now.
Well, they say there's like little pockets of northern counties getting hit, but For the majority, it's Southeast Ohio is where the majority of all this is happening. It was attributed. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. We are all sick, dying from spending a week in the house with kids, so we're trying to muffle the sneezes on the podcast. Last year, they drained a specific lake in this county and redid it. And when they did that, there was just a bunch of mucky water that sat around in this dry lake bed.
They've redone it yet?
Yeah, and I don't know either.
I think it's still mucky water right now.
And I haven't been that way. So I guess I got to talk to my sources in that township and see if they're getting hit as bad as they were last year, because they got wrecked last year, I know. He actually didn't even kill a deer, I don't think.
It was like how big is that lake? 20 or 30 acres?
Too, so.
That lake's probably, no,
50?
It's pretty big.
So 50-acre lake, they took the dam out and drained it, but then it just sat as a swampy muckland for years now. Still sitting there, I believe.
And it'd be interesting to see, like, if the old, like, no one's culpable in these situations, but I'll talk to Zach when he comes on next week. Like, does doing that directly result in this midge breeding ground, and like, would the DNR be culpable in that? Or this is actually the metro parks that are doing that one, I think. But like, I think if they're doing something that creates this die off, of course they probably just don't care that the deer are dying off because there's so many of them. But the fact remains that the cameras died out instantly everywhere. EHD popped up on the internet at the same time. I don't think we're being affected up here that much. We have a lot of clean water sources. There are obviously some bad water sources, but we have a lot of clean water sources. We've been doing our best to build clean water sources, deep enough holes, get vegetation
there's
growing.
A big local hunting network here. I think stuff would be popping up if.
Yes, I've been keeping an eye on, the Medina County Hunters Facebook page where we got a lot of our information is nowhere near as big as it used to be.
And not to mention the 1,000 people we are mutual friends with,
right?
Also hunters around here. They'd be posting dead deer.
There's been no reports of anyone finding dead deer. That dead fawn I found a week or two ago was the only dead deer that I've seen a report on at all in this county. So that's a good thing. I've heard some chatter that the acorns are starting to drop in some places, and that could be a huge steering point for deer feeding. And I'm going to actually move some cameras around today to some of our known acorn places.
Moved a non-cell camera 2 weeks ago to a acorn flat. And
are there beans turning yet?
I haven't seen any beans turning yet, but they're at their max. Beans are going to be at their max height right now. So but
I've also heard velvet shedding too.
Yeah, I've seen some people starting to post that the velvet's coming off. That third week of August, we always start to see some bucks that their tips are sticking through the velvet and stuff. So velvet is shedding, beans are turning and/or at full maturity.
Corn's tasseled out.
Corn is tasseled out. Another one, the acorn's coming down is going to change things. Just the natural daylight. It's getting dark sooner, so the deer are probably starting to move towards their fall ranges. So at the same time that we're missing all these bucks that we've had all summer and we're getting sad about it, we should start getting in our fall crop of bucks here soon. That's why I'm going to move some of my cameras around today and try and keep an eye on that. Some of the deer that have been around all summer that are missing now, where is split ear? We've talked about this on the podcast a lot. Split ear's been gone since June. Last year he was almost daily on camera from the beginning of the season till the end of the season. He was on camera daily.
Till the literal end of the season.
He should be around. If he's around, not dead, not hit by a car or EHD'd somewhere, he should be showing back up on cameras very soon. So that's an exciting prospect.
Or shot with a thermal.
Yeah, we're going to get to that too. Oh. Thermals again. Oh, look, Siman Brothers Outdoors are talking about thermals again, but I got a good story for the group later.
Yeah, different story.
A different story.
People are going to be really upset.
And the big one, yeah, some people might be upset. Some people are going to chuckle and say, other people are going to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
The big one is people have started baiting for sure. You're starting to see on social media pictures of look at this buck showing up and all these trail camera sites and Ohio whitetail deer hunting and all stuff. Lots of people have started putting out corn for deer now. We are in that final 6 weeks before season. It is going to be masturbate time, and that's going to shift deer a little bit as well too. Deer that you might have had hitting your mineral licks, which are probably about dried. I know we still get action throughout the fall in the mineral licks, but nowhere near as heavy as we do in June and July. Mineral licks are drying up. Those bucks that would be working through an area, hit your mineral lick and head out to the fields. They're probably going to work through a separate area, whack a corn pile, and then head out to the fields. Mm-hmm. So we're going to move our cameras off mineral licks here today. We don't have any corn to put out. That's not going to happen.
Not yet.
Are you going to put some? Are you going to do what we talked about in the chat about your house?
Oh yeah, I'm going to put a giant.
Find a spot where the field's a little bit open more, and then just
Like right where that camera is, it's all like foxtail or mare
Yeah,
tail, whatever that stuff is, and I'm just gonna dump a big pile right there.
Yeah, pull them weeds down and shit.
Yeah, and if a 160 shows up, I'm gonna shoot him.
We're gonna whack him.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
So Luke's gonna get some corn out. We don't have any here. We already talked about the EHD thing in my notes here. I guess it's time to start talking about the thermal scope story that Isaac talked about. So this is
not whatever those permits are called.
we're not talking about legal depredation permits.
Yeah,
so
I'm having a brain fart on those. This was brought to you by. I guess you could just say an acquaintance on
so someone
social media.
Someone, not social media, someone texted me local asking if I knew anything about crossbow scopes. And I was, and this guy we don't know each other very well. We've just recently kind of met. He hunts locally. And I asked him, I told him, no, like I don't. He actually, and he doesn't even know that I have the podcast or like this guy's just barely skin deep acquaintance, a local that I stopped and got a phone number of because we're going to be hunting around each other. And he's newer to the area based on his house not being there very long. He asked me if I knew anything about crossbow scopes. And I said, no, that's not my area of expertise. He goes on to tell me, well, my current thermal scope that I have on my crossbow doesn't do very good in low lights, and I like to push the boundaries as much as possible. So I'm looking at possibly getting what was the brand he said?
ATN.
An ATN, or no, he had an ATN.
He had a crappy ATN.
And he wanted to get a better thermal scope so that, he can hunt later into the night. And I was like, I was just at the right level of drunk on this trip, moping around the house in the hurricane, that I like went off on this dude. I'm like, holy fucking shit. Don't tell me that. Like, you're telling me that I got guys hunting local to me with thermal scopes on their crossbows shooting deer after legal shooting light off of corn piles at their house. We're doing all this work that we just talked about to try and maximize the deer. EHD is possibly killing off deer locally. The herd's going down. It's hard enough to get a trophy quality buck around here. They're all missing, blah, 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 blah. And this guy texts me that he's using a thermal scope on his crossbow.
And then asking us for recommendations.
And I lost my shit on this guy. I texted him the game warden's phone number. So I say, first off, ask him. Ask Eric Moore, the Medina County game warden, how he feels about it. Because if I even catch a fucking whisper that you went out and bought a brand new thermal crossbow scope and are using it after dark, he's going to be, he probably won't be, but he's going to be raiding your house.
Citizens arrest.
Yeah. Citizens arrest. There's going to be a South Park rah-rah mob with like, we're going to be coming up with brooms on fire and beating your door down to your house. But it just took me back. All this talk about technology and hunting and how the world's changing and thermal drones and everyone, we're already getting, we're getting plenty of jabs on social media that I see every once in a while of like, oh, don't the Simons know you used a drone, like can't hunt that property ever again, shit like that, which is fun and in tongue-in-cheek fun. But to find out someone hunting by you is using thermal scopes on their crossbows now, it's going too far, people. Holy fucking shit. It's going too far. This is where we're at. Guys are buying thermal scopes to put on their crossbows so they can shoot deer at night.
It's bad
and
enough.
They're not even hiding it.
Yeah, and it's bad enough that with a scope on a crossbow, you can shoot way past legal light, especially when
at 100 yards.
Especially when it comes into later season in the snow and stuff. You can shoot half an hour after legal light with just a regular scope. And you put a thermal scope, the guy could be sitting out there at midnight shooting deer. Who knows?
I mean, it's the more you talk to people, the more you look at social media and see through the first layer of it and get your opinions out there, you realize that the deer really don't have a chance, and people also don't give a fuck how they do it. Mm-hmm. Like, they want that buck on the wall no matter what. Most of them don't care how it's achieved whatsoever. They think the fact that we do care about how it's achieved means that we're lesser people because we have time to worry about how to kill a deer. Fuck you, motherfucker. That's the way they feel about it.
Initially, before your freak out, he gave you the rundown on, it's his property. He can do what he wants.
Yeah.
And that's come up a lot in the CJ Alexander backlash that we've gotten.
Yeah. So a lot of the martyrs for CJ, here we are talking about it again. More of the martyrs have always been fuck the police, fuck the ODNR. Like, I'm glad that this kid went out there and made it happen,
on some rich dentist property.
Yeah, and there's this whole, if it's, this neighbor guy of mine, his initial stance, and he did pull back. So he has pulled back and sent me like 50 apologetic texts and wants to work things out. And he says he bought a regular, all that. He says he bought a regular scope for his crossbow. He doesn't know anyone in the area. He's new to this place and he wants to make friends. He just wasn't aware. He's sick of how it gets dark so fast and you can't shoot till legal light. And I sent him a text like, well, the deer wins if you can't shoot it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it got too dark to kill the deer, and he didn't come in yet. Like, the deer won for the day.
Especially when he's got a
fucking
corn.
instant result kind of lifestyle that people have now. Like, they demand results instantly, and they get mad if they can't get it.
They need to start duck hunting, goose hunting.
Yeah.
Anyone can do that.
Well, and this guy has a corn pile and a blind within view of his back porch, so he probably is getting pictures of nice bucks in after shooting light, and he just thinks, oh, I can walk on my back porch and shoot these deer.
Yeah.
At 8:00 at night.
He did tell me that I can't tell him what to do on his property. He doesn't care what I think. It's his property. He's going to do what he wants. I think he backtracked because there was a period of time where we weren't texting, and then he like sent me a bunch of apologetic backtrack texts. He probably Googled the fact that it's a felony and he could go to prison for doing this stuff.
Yeah,
like he probably honestly had no idea that the game laws were that strict.
Yeah.
He's new into hunting. He's been asking prior to this. He was asking me recommendations for some blinds, and he wants to meet to talk about this and that.
And game laws are really weird because you can break game laws your entire life and never get in trouble and never get caught because it's so hard to catch people on these things.
One game warden, and they have to have evidence that you did it, and that it's hard to prove, and then the cases aren't even worth the shit half the time. Oh, this guy shot a deer 5 minutes after light. Slap him with a $50 fine.
A lot of people think it's no big deal. Just like when you're speeding down the highway going 7 miles an hour over, you can do that every day of your life, and it's never a problem until you get pulled over.
Yeah, and then it's fuck the cops. This is bullshit, But you've been breaking the law the entire time. You just choose not to believe in the law.
Desensitized.
I was going 25 miles an hour over the speed limit the whole way home, just for the record.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, so that, I was instantly triggered, and it opens your eyes. If this is happening here to me now in this little tiny area of thought,
Our block of
how prevalent is it everywhere else? With all these new guys getting into hunting, the numbers have proven that crossbows are killing the majority of deer statewide by a mile and a half. The crossbows are just laying waste to more deer than anyone. Thermal scopes are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
Yeah, I don't know what the minimum is, but you could probably buy a usable thermal scope for $250 now.
Yeah, for sure.
Slap on.
For sure.
Boom.
I don't know. I was very triggered by it, but me and him have decided to try and kind of work it out. We'll see. He wants to grab a beer at the Friendly Inn.
That's what he said.
He always says that he wants to go grab a beer at the Friendly Inn. So I'll probably
maybe you can.
I like
good
to drink.
at
I like to drink beer.
Yeah, maybe you can educate him.
You can educate him, and he becomes I don't know,
stand-up hunter.
Yeah.
That's the plan. We've been trying to do that with some other neighbors of ours too. We're working hard at it. He doesn't even, like I said, he doesn't even know about the podcasts and videos yet. So after I talk to him for a while, I'll finally fill him in on all this, and then he can see why I was mad, I guess. But it's funny. I just, the more you think about it, this deer hunting subset that we're in, there's layers to it, right? There's deer hunters, or there's hunters in general, and then you have your subset of hunters, whatever species you hunt, and then you have. It starts with your base layer deer hunter. Like this guy's new into it and bought a crossbow because that's big and cool and easy and trying to find a way to kill these deer he can after light. Or you have the deer gun season. We're going to trespass everywhere because we've always been doing it. Fuck you kind of people. The more you go farther down the tube, to where you get to the point where you got Dylan Horner hunting with recurves. You have Caleb only shooting 4-year-old bucks. You have some guys go so far. Jay doesn't even hunt Ohio because he hates it so fucking much that he's only hunting out of state public land and over the counter tags. Like you get down to this rabbit hole where we're at now, and you're just such a small percentage of the gen pop of hunters. A lot of them have started to kind of. There's a pushback. Why do we care so much?
It does seem the more invested and the more you care about it, the better your morals are when it comes to hunting.
I would agree with that.
Unless
I would agree with that.
There's a monetary value involved. Celebrity hunters that have some issues with morals, outfitters that have issues with morals. When you start involving money,
because it's your job.
Yeah, when you start involving money into that situation, it starts to get a little cloudy. But the people that do it as a passion, usually the more they get into it, the better their morals become.
Yeah,
usually.
There's obviously people who are going to point out outliers to that, but yeah, the more invested you are in it, the better moral turpitude. Is that the right word?
I don't know.
Turpitude?
I don't think so.
You're going to have.
Until money starts getting involved and then it gets cloudy.
The less you care about it, like, deer hunting is just once a year weekend I do, or a couple times during bow season. It's just a subset hobby of mine. You don't want it to be hard and isolated. You don't want to sit there with your compound bow, no bait, in a funnel, waiting for a 4-year-old buck, passing all these really good deer that would be the biggest you've ever killed, but they're not old enough. You're not going to do that.
You
If
just
it's
want the
3 days.
You
a
want
month
the
kind of
easy
thing.
route.
Well,
to
there are some people that they just want to shoot some does and have some meat, and if a big buck walks by, they're going to do it. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
No,
That's
I'm
how
not-
we all started. I mean,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying there's people that aren't as invested as us, and our listeners or people we hang out with that are going to look at what we're doing and say, "What a waste of fucking time!" and who cares?
And the whole reason all these game laws exist and the technology is sometimes getting over the fact that the game laws exist is to kind of even the playing field with the deer and even the playing field with your fellow hunters.
Yeah, I mean the DNR is trying to balance making money.
Every big step in technology that comes out that kind of skews that even playing field is where things need to change.
and it takes time for things to change and catch up to technology too.
And we just like to bitch about those.
ODNR just
those
can't
big
just make a
leaps.
new rule overnight when the new thermal drone comes out.
Yeah, and we
It does take time.
I looked up the laws. It doesn't specifically state anywhere that you cannot have a thermal scope on your crossbow to hunt until last light. It's just like anything else. If you're an alcoholic and you have this entire wall of whiskey back here behind you and you're not allowed to drink, why would you have that in your house? To tempt you to take one drink, to tempt you to take that shot 1 minute after shooting.
Yeah, and the laws are so skewed. Just like
And you have to have the desire to follow them yourselves. I guess that's the point. We need to try and get hunters to want to play by the rules.
the unfortunate thing is we complain about a lot of things that aren't rules yet too.
Yeah.
We complain about the big bay piles, the big crossbows.
Well, we're just-
second crossbows, thermal scopes, thermal drones, all this crap.
We're
We just
just-
like to complain about it.
Well, SBO's bitching to bitch, Tyler Gullett says. Nah, I mean, it's because things are changing so fast and we're of old school mentality. So when things are changing around us, it's hard to accept that this is now legal in the law, and maybe people are finding these little loopholes, like having a thermal crossbow to shoot to the last moment, having a thermal drone to do herd analysis, and
To find your shooter buck the day before.
yeah, like these things are happening, and you know, if this was the NFL, Bill Belichick would be utilizing all this stuff, maybe a little bit too much, you know. Then there's other football coaches that are going to just be X's and O's and barely using headsets because that's the way
We're trying to advocate the best we can for the deer and to make it as even of a playing field as possible for the hunters out there.
I mean, the goal is to have good hunting for everyone. So in order to do that, to have good hunting for everyone, when that happens, that means it'd be good hunting for us. If you're one of those people that only tries to have good hunting for yourself, and you start to throw the elbows up to your neighbors and put 3-sided fences up on your properties, it creates all this strife and competition. But if you make it so the hunting is good across the board in general, like a lot of places in Iowa or some of the public land spots out west for things that are just beautiful places to go in parts of Canada, etc., turkey hunting in Pennsylvania, for example. If you have good hunting for everyone enjoys it, everyone has fun, and there's not as much strife. But as soon as it gets hard here, hard there, there's competition, that's when this, you know, the bad things start to happen and people start taking advantage, bending the laws to make sure that they do get theirs in the end, and it's just a downward spiral. Thermal scopes on crossbows, holy shit.
It's pretty bad. All right, next topic.
That's the most shocking thing I've heard in like years.
Yeah.
Wow. The next topic. Apparently, according to Facebook, there's a black bear out there killing local dogs right down the street.
Oh yeah,
Which that would be exciting.
So there's this local that has a dog that always runs free, and this individual gets really, really worked up if people bring it up to him, but it's a fact. He has a dog that
his
has always
dog
been
lays
running
in the
free.
middle of the road.
It lays in the road. It walks down the road. It's trespassing. It's chasing turkeys around. It's chasing deer around. It's being a menace.
Does that local drive a single cab
and
giant
it's illegal in Ohio.
red?
Yeah, it is.
Breaking the law.
I don't know what I think they have a multiple.
Who drives the giant red F-250 single cab?
I don't know.
So
I
loud.
think some people have I think these guys have multiple vehicles. But
The
anyway,
damn thing drove by yesterday pulling a boat, and it was going 30 miles an hour and struggling.
and this poor dog, which you know, and we're gonna have people say like, my property, my dog. You're not wrong. I fucking get it. Everyone is allowed to do whatever they want. this
I mean,
this individual
For the dog, don't let your dog lay in
Right.
the road all day.
This dog was his days were numbered. I've
Trying to
almost hit him.
escape. He was trying to get somebody to pick him up.
I've been avoiding hitting this dog for years now. Like literally almost hit him 500 times. I know exactly where he's going to be. You always got to slow down because he's going to be there. Apparently, he wound up dead on this gentleman's doorstep, tore to pieces from a big, large cat. At first, it was a big, large cat. He said he'd been hearing bobcats, and a bobcat killed his dog. For one, his dog was like 60, 70 pounds.
It's a German Shepherd, wasn't it?
No, it was a mutt.
It was a mutt.
It was like a look German Shepherd.
Yeah,
like
Ish,
dog.
yeah. And his dog was dead on his doorstep, tore apart from a bobcat. And then the story changed, so he found bear tracks. And then he said that the ODNR, I texted Eric Moore, and he hasn't texted me back about it. He said that the ODNR has confirmed that there's been 50 black bear sightings in the last week between here and Ashland County, blah, blah, blah. He found bear tracks all over his property.
Possible.
Maybe, I'll find out. Doesn't get any more direct than asking the game warden himself, but we'll find
Bear
out.
didn't put the dog on the doorstep.
No, so yeah, the dog that was mauled apart by a cat and then with bear tracks were found with all these sightings was then set on the doorstep. I think the dog probably honestly,
Somebody probably
unfortunately, the
accidentally
dog
hit
got
him.
smoked on the road at some time at night. The guy wasn't home or wasn't answering the door, and they set the dog on the doorstep.
Someone
and walked
felt really bad.
Yeah.
They put their dog on the doorstep.
because I can guarantee you with any amount of money that the one bobcat that we get on camera every 6 months to a year around here didn't just find his dog and kill it out of spite.
No, the bobcat's probably fighting with mom and dad's house cats. And
Yeah. For two, if there was a black bear in this area, someone would just like the EHD deer, someone would be posting pictures of it. Because there's a million people live around here with a million trail cameras, and a black bear ain't gonna be able to hide from you. Have they been seen close by? There are reports over the years people have seen them. They swear they have. No one's ever been able to bring up any proof in this direct area of a black bear. There were some comments on there that people have seen them this week in the area too. I think there's just a big black coyote that their dogs are chasing personally, but
who knows? Maybe
Or
this
it's just a big black
maybe this
dog.
bear will show up though.
yeah, I mean we're here for the bear showing up. We're excited for it. Maybe this bear has been killing all our deer that we haven't been getting on camera.
I doubt it. I can imagine the adult deer killed by black bear ratio is not very high.
Not in an area with as much available food as there is right here. This isn't a.
I could go out in the yard.
Two
and
of my
catch
chickens
6
disappeared
rabbits.
2 weeks ago.
That is true.
But like if it was a black bear, he'd rip the coop down and get inside and kill the rest.
So this black bear is killing your chickens, killing people's dogs, and all our deer. There is a
single
killer bear on the loose in the area. So we got the cams out deployed. We'll find out.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah. I'll report back if we find that Northeast Ohio black bear that's been killing all the dogs. And it's sad that the dog died. No one had any ill for the dog, but what a mess.
Ill will.
Ill.
Speaking of ill will, next topic.
Yeah, maybe this is the last time we'll ever talk about it.
I
I
think
doubt
we
it.
just skip it.
No,
No,
Can you just put a reference to the other podcast and then that's where we end it?
We need to talk about it just a little bit,
I hate talking about it.
but it's.
Caleb's wearing the shirt.
I'm wearing the shirt, so I bought the shirt. Working class bow hunters stop giving support or stop supporting poachers, for a good cause. I mean, working class bow hunter, for any faults they have a good one, they have a good. The best thing about them is they don't give a platform to poachers, and they've left sponsorships and staff deals and stuff because those guys maybe are in bed with poachers or had some problems themselves. So they're very anti-poacher, which is good. We're anti-poacher too. We're also hot topics news. We are on the forefront of the deer hunting world as it what's the word I'm looking for? As it imports to us, the things that we find interesting, we're going to talk about on our podcast, and
there was
big stories are a part of that.
in social media. There were some stones thrown from glass houses. Recently.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even worried about who did it. There was some people that work for some companies that might have said, they think we're big, large hypocrites because I made a comment, and I bet you we are a little bit hypocritical about this maybe, but I made a comment that the fact that the CJ Alexander buck is now being paraded around by the ODNR, taken to shows, it was put on display down at the Mobile Hunters Expo this weekend. I know a lot of people listening probably are aware of what that is. It was on display down there. Everyone's taking their pictures with it and smiling and posing by it, and they made sure to make some posts showing everyone that it was there. I know it's not the deer's fault. The ODNR did a great job of making an airtight case and
convicting
him,
which is awesome.
sending him to jail. what like they should have. $42,000 in fines, all that. They did a great job. I'm starting, and we posted about when it happened. We made a podcast about it. We mentioned it, and then when CJ interacted with us, and we had our conversations with CJ personally, and he was saying everything was legit and blah 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 blah, and we went down that rabbit hole. We had a podcast about it that obviously did very good. Most viewed.
It just
podcasts.
hit whatever algorithm.
Yeah, most viewed
on.
podcasts. We made some money off of it. It was seen by a lot of people. And then we had a couple follow-ups here and there. I get that, and we have done well. Off the CJ podcast. And it's been brought up to me actually by multiple people that we did. We weren't expecting it to go that way per se.
It was just a podcast just like this. We were talking about hot topics.
And it just went. The fact that CJ now is going around doing his podcast, he's making his own podcast loop, appearing on these podcasts. He's loving that everyone knows his name. Everyone knows the buck is known as the CJ Alexander buck, and the DNR is giving him the exposure everywhere he goes with it. I don't know what the right answer is. I haven't had a chance to really sit down and think about what should be done or what we should do.
The same conversation.
Should we pull our video off the air? People have suggested you should pull the video off the air then.
Hey, we could.
I mean, we could.
But the same conversation goes, it's kind of been an endless conversation in TV shows and stuff when they talk about serial killers.
Yeah.
How serial killers
Jeffrey
want to become
Dahmer.
famous because
Ted Bundy.
killing people, obviously, is a really bad thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes they try to keep their names out of the news, but that never happens.
So
it's called being infamous, basically.
And here's the thing. I'm gonna throw some pitches at you at the audience so you guys can kind of think about it and tell me what you think. And if the mobile hunter guys are watching, Josh, if you're listening, just here's some things to think about. What if would you be okay if CJ went through his time, paid off his fines, got his hunting license back, and went the Chris Brackett route? Partnered with Hunter, been on their podcast 3 or 4 times, has his own podcast that everyone's listening to, starting up another YouTube channel, making money in the industry, being an influencer. CJ could go that route, and we're giving him the platform to do it now. Mm-hmm. Do you guys want CJ Alexander on the forefront of the deer hunting world that Chris Brackett is right now? I mean, Josh Bomar is one of the top 5 most famous deer hunters in the world. He just sues his way into being innocent. It doesn't mean that what he did wasn't wrong. Mm-hmm. The things he did were wrong, and he got caught, and he was part of an operation. He had enough money to make it go away. He pled the case down. That's what the wealthy and elite do. You can't be okay with one, Brackett, Bomar, these guys doing their thing. Muley Freak, still making videos, doesn't even talk about the fact that he got pinched. He just kind of hides it in the shadows, right? Mm-hmm. CJ Alexander could be next, guys. He could be on your podcast, telling his stories,
he is
selling his influencing marketing business.
Well, they threw stones at us for having this podcast, but then they advertise
right. It's the same
his
thing.
buck being shown.
Yeah.
And I understand why the buck's there. The ODNR has been doing that a long time. I remember going to shows when we were younger with giant poached deer. I can't remember exactly what deer it was.
Yeah, but
they would display giant deer at these shows when we were young.
And just like we talked about earlier in the podcast, that was back when we just didn't really grasp the depth of it, and we didn't think about what the future might be. Like, look, all these poached bucks, man, that sucks, son of a bitch, all this stuff. Well, now poachers are becoming famous. The Prince of Poachers has been brought up in some of our group chats. He's a famous poacher down at the King Ranch, one of the ranches, maybe the King, one of the other ones in Texas. Killed hundreds of bucks illegally, got caught, did his time. Show the game wardens how he was doing it, and show the owners of the ranches how he was doing it, so that he could help them out, kind of like a Wolf of Wall Street,
Well, and we get
that kind of situation.
We get
he wrote
more
books, made money.
Yeah, we get more comments from people telling us to do other giant poached deer stories, run down the story just like we ran down the CJ Alexander story, than we do other topics.
Yeah, and
people are always saying, "Do this buck, do that buck, do that," because people, and it's just like people that watch crime dramas. The biggest Netflix documentaries are all about serial killers and crimes. I think hunters kind of like seeing that as well.
The greatest movies are all involved in crime stuff, making villains into heroes even at sometimes. We always say, if there's a podcast topic you want, if there's a guest you want, if there's something you want to hear about, please let us know, because we're just guys talking in a shop, drinking beer or brisk or Diet Coke, sitting here having a conversation about hunting because we're social people and we love to do it and we have the means to do it and the time, so we're doing it.
And this is the Deer Shop podcast, things that we talk about in the Deer Shop.
And the funny part is the majority of these comments I always get are, I just want to hear you guys get up there and make a rant. I want to hear the Siman Brothers. I want to see the Siman Brothers and their crew on there talking about bullshit. We never get specific guest requests. We have some for like, oh, you need to do the Hollywood buck. A lot of people want to see a story on the Hollywood buck, which we did talk about. There is a podcast where we talked about the Hollywood buck poaching case.
And Luke's not allowed on the podcast.
Yeah,
anymore.
there's a lot of guys who don't want Luke on the podcast. Never have that guy back on again. Fixed blade broadhead man over here.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Why?
It's been said, and that's it.
I talked about this a little bit amongst ourselves before the podcast and some chats on the ride home. I need to do a better job of maybe not caring so much what the comments say, because it's very easy for guys that are just sitting on their computer at home, bag of Cheetos, watching the Deer Shop podcast pop up on their feed, listen to 5 minutes and say, man, fuck them guys. They're a bunch of fucking idiots. You know?
I know we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about my video next.
Yeah, we're going to get it.
But there's a comment on there. I'm like, screw you, dude.
I mean, all press is good press.
I don't even remember saying.
If you leave us a shitty comment, this off the wall, horrendously shitty comment and being mean, we're going to bring it up on our comment reads. Every couple months I do like a comment read. I'll bring it up because we're not afraid of criticism. We actually encourage it, but it's just, you can't sit there and think about it. You can't sit there and let it dictate how we're going to run our podcast and our videos and our operation. But it's worth noting that, to circle all the way back, I don't know exactly how I feel about the CJ stuff. I guess I find it weird that the DNR is kind of promoting it now in the way they are. I understand that they're promoting because their officers did a good job of what it is.
We need to understand that a lot of the DNR guys that make these decisions aren't hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It just, I find it so strange how now CJ's getting exactly what he wants.
I understand it was a big case and it was a big win for the DNR, but like this thing is, it's being, it's like on a gold pedestal, like in the middle.
They're also saying that like, we caught this guy and charged him $45,000. He can't hunt for a while, so don't do this.
Well, but on the podcast, whether he's lying or not, on the podcast he did with Deer IQ, and I'm glad that CJ did the podcast with Deer IQ because it just gave me an insight of how much of a fucking dirtbag he is. He said if he pays, according to him, obviously this guy's lied through his teeth forever. So he said that if he pays off his fines and does his time, he can get his license in Ohio back in 7 years. He can Chris bracket this thing up and be. He could be 6.5 years.
Think about it.
He said there are states where this doesn't apply to him. He can hunt in South Dakota and Kansas.
Well, the guy I should have wrote it down while I was listening. I was going along, but he got his dates messed up on the days he killed those other bucks.
Yeah, he had
them
shit.
all messed up.
He's all full
he'd
shit.
Say like January 16th, January 18th, and I'm like,
He also said he went on that Hunter podcast and got the free bow with his buddy and did that whole parading of I kill the possible next world record typical buck after he admitted to the cops or the DNR that he did it. He specifically stated in that Deer IQ podcast that he thought, and I think it's because he talked to his dad. He didn't employ that he was able to ever talk to his dad about it, but I think he ended up having conversations with his dad, who was law enforcement, that he thought he was going to be able to get off on a technicality, and the case was going to be thrown out because of that, and he'd be able to claim that he killed the world record buck and all that.
It's not a DUI charge. I mean,
yeah.
Well, speaking of that, not to bring any more light to this buck, but did anybody ever officially score this deer and show me a score sheet, like a net? Like this deer is nowhere near the.
So the Buckeye Big Buck
record.
Club, apparently, I think the Ohio Buckeye Big Buck Club measured it at like 235 gross, like 207 net. So it was like, or 204 net. It was within inches of the state record. It wasn't going to be a world record. It was within inches of the state record, but it was a 235 gross buck, apparently.
Because he has a whole bunch of abnormal points. Like it wasn't like it was a question of him knocking down Milo Hansen. Yeah, we'll talk about the Milo Hansen buck one day. I can't wait to get into that one. But yeah, so they, Matt, Board Game Matt was down there at the expo and saw the buck. So when I get him on or whatever, we'll be able to conversate about how big this deer actually was. Because he's got a 10-inch second brow time.
Yeah, and there's a lot, right?
That takes 20 inches off the gross score or whatever it is.
Yeah,
because
I don't know. It hit me perfectly with listening to that Deer IQ podcast and then seeing that while I was listening to this podcast, I'm seeing all the videos from the Mobile Hunter Expo, the bucks on display, and people are just taking pictures with it, and the world famous CJ Alexander buck. Dude, I don't know. I'm allowed as a human being and someone who is just throwing his opinion out there and has his own podcast. I'm allowed to change my opinion on how I feel about things, and I just don't know if I like the way this is going right now.
Neither do I.
Because I see what Chris Brackett's doing. I don't have anything against Chris Brackett as a human being. I know he's a reformed Christian and battling his autism thing, and he's trying to he loves deer hunting. I get that. And he seems like a decent enough guy you could drink a beer with on the surface. We know this. We all know this. But he's a convicted poacher who's now famous again. And it could happen with CJ. And CJ could be the next one.
I'm telling you, after listening to that podcast, CJ is not going to be able to handle any camera.
I hope you're right.
Or video. I don't care.
I hope you're right. And I'm not saying he has the ability to be famous either, but I could tell him when I listened to that Deer IQ podcast that he had listened to our podcast because he talked a lot about the stuff that I talked about going around and trying to do hunter education on the topic, which is probably what the ODNR is doing. But they're just parading the deer antlers around. I would like them to see CJ having to be forced to give speeches and forced to repent for what he did, and he's not doing that. All this stuff that he's doing on these podcasts, he did not repent at all.
Yeah.
Oh shucks, I got caught. I was gonna get off on technicality, but
And I know a lot of people are saying that our podcast had so much reach. Like it was just a normal podcast for us. We thought it was just going to be a podcast that gets 500 views on YouTube. A couple people watch it. One of our 107 episodes.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it blew up, and it has more views and watch hours than all of our other stuff combined.
Yeah, it's our second most watched video of all time.
Yeah.
There's all our deer camp stuff, and then there's the CJ Alexander podcast. So it is what it is. We can leave it, Luke. We're done with it.
Leaving it.
Stop supporting poachers.
Rest of time.
Yeah, stop supporting poachers.
All right.
Muley video is live. It went live when we were down there. I think you were a little bit. I mean, I've watched. This will be the second time. It's in the background right now as we're podcasting. I mean, it's a cinematic masterpiece. It really is. It was the color is good. There's lots of big animals on it. You get to see Isaac's big elk miss. It's
small elk miss.
He misses a small elk, but it's a big miss.
Huge miss.
Huge miss.
Yeah,
it's a perfect Siman Brothers Outdoors video, and it's doing well, and it's exactly what you want it to be. I think
it was all right for such a short kind of a trip that didn't go our way. That we had a tough time during the trip. We had a tough time after the trip. We have a really tough time looking back at the trip and the things we could have done different, things we could have done more or less. Blah blah blah. It's a huge learning curve.
We bite off a lot more than we can chew often.
Huge learning curve from a Western trip standpoint, Western hunting standpoint, and from a filming and filmmaking perspective. Yeah. But I think it went well. Everybody should check it out.
Someone got mad with the way you said opening day too many times.
I don't remember saying that.
I don't remember you saying it either. But
probably because in all my interviews, I'm like, as these trips go, you film a lot in the beginning and a lot less at the end.
And you have to find a way to break down where you're at in the filming.
Yeah, so there's a whole lot of the video that takes place in the day or two and the day of opening day.
Yeah.
So I have 10 interviews that say, opening day's tomorrow. Today's opening day. Today's opening day. Yesterday was opening day.
Yeah.
So I said opening day a lot, and some guy just comments, he said opening day too much, I'm not watching.
Yeah, hit his algorithm. He saw the title. He's like, oh, that looks pretty cool. He popped it on his TV. You said opening day 3 times. He said, fuck you, and clicked off.
Which, whatever. And a lot of these videos, I don't cater them towards someone flipping up on their phone and watching it.
Yeah.
These are like, you got to sit down and watch it.
It's in an ultra widescreen format on the screen. It was meant for TV 4K viewing.
Mm-hmm. And the audio has a lot to do with it, and the music and the slow pace. So like if you just pull it up on your phone and go to watch it, you're not going to enjoy it much.
No, you can't sit there and watch it. How long is it?
It's over an hour.
Yeah, you're not going to watch an hour-long video to sit on your phone like that. It's crazy.
Well, we saw some big deer, missed an elk. The whole 9 years. It was good.
This is going to be our last Western video on the channel for probably a year or two.
Yeah, and it only encompassed 6 days,
depending on what we do with Jay, obviously. But
yeah, so
if he's going to do his own channel or if he's going to put
we'll see how
on
that
our
goes.
channel. That podcast is coming up soon. Jay's leaving for Alaska real soon. Yeah, it's happening.
Too. Yeah, so cool.
Might never see him again. So let's finish this up. What's going on with THP?
I don't know. So I see their videos pop up, and it's broadhead tuning, new bow setups. Check out our fixed blade broadhead shooting it.
I'm going to ask some guys in the industry what they think, but THP is, for whatever, I don't want to say they're dropping the ball because it's obviously calculated.
Maybe we don't know.
Something's happening, with THP. Like they haven't released a lot of their videos that they usually do. Like we never got the sturgeon spearing videos. They've done the stupid ranch fairy videos, and then now Usually we'd be balls deep in elk hunting,
like,
getting ready for early whitetails.
I don't have my finger on the pulse enough to know if they
nothing's
did
happening.
a bunch of huge hunts last year that they didn't post, or maybe they posted all their stuff last year and we.
I swear at the end of every season they come up with this, comment like, stay next, the we have a lot in the hopper for next year. Stay tuned to get ready for the season. Blah
And
blah.
it is
blah.
still the last week of August, so maybe they're waiting until September to post their elk stuff. I'm not going elk hunting this year. I would love to see some of their elk hunting stuff because
I would love to just see them hanging out around their cabin in Iowa there and working on the stuff they're working on, behind the scenes stuff, because these buy my Fred Bear bow and broadhead tuning videos and shooting a dead pig stuff is the worst videos in the world.
Yeah,
I can't stand watching them.
we've
What
tried.
a waste of fucking time, guys. Come on.
We've tried making videos like that in the past just to keep the
Try
keep our
new-
thumb on the pulse
try
to
new
keep things
right.
going. But
They
I
suck.
can't do it. I hate it.
I'm over it. Yeah, we haven't done a product review video in a year. We might never do one again.
Yeah.
If there's a product we want to talk about, we'll talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
We're done with it. And I know we have some of our best friends in the industry survive on making product videos. I get it. But that's
Yeah,
just not for us.
It's not.
We don't have to.
We
so
we are not very good at the education standpoint. We're more of an entertainment, and I just don't feel like us doing a saddle review is going to be entertainment for people.
No. Plus, you just have to film it so differently, like an infomercial, and that's
And
not how we operate.
We only like talking about products that we are quote unquote experts on. So I'm not going to get a new saddle, and I've never even hunted on one and do a review on it. That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah. So I don't know. We got to find out what the hell's going on with THP, but watch Isaac's Muley video, please.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Kentucky's breathing down our throats. You guys are gonna hear all about that here soon. So
We're not going to talk about it too much because we always blow these things out of proportion and then they suck. So
Yep.
Yeah, we don't kill anything.
if we don't kill
the
anything,
worst.
maybe you're not gonna hear about it. But all right, Deer Shot Podcast 107. That's about all I got.
thanks for listening. We
Yep.
are out.
We are out.